the new Parkway Theater, where good food, diverse entertainment, and community create a place for everyone. For showtimes and special events, check out www.thenewparkway.com. You are listening to High School 510, where sports and comedy bring games and culture.
Oh, this is Brandon, aka Taco Pablo. I don't really know shoes, so I almost bought some fake Jordan just here at the Mojo Festival.
Mojo.
It was bad.
The fact that you almost bought Jordan at the
Mojo Festival, right?
Should have showed you where you were priority.
You got him Umo Jordan.
He's gonna get the Air Kwame.
Them Air Harambe's.
Hold on. What Jordan you wearing?
No, they were some Net 4s.
They're the African dad.
Should we get to the debate?
We haven't debated in a while.
All right, Dave, you're gonna be the judge of this debate. So at the end of the debate, Dave, you could adjudicate and say, I think this team won or this team won, whatever side of this debate you think won. All right, let me play the debate jingle real quick.
The debate jingle?
Is it the jingle from the NBC Saved by the Bell, but before it was called Saved by the Bell and it was the Miss Bliss show?
Bruh, you be watching some crazy teeny bopper ass shows, bruh.
Oh, you know what?
You know. The first season of Saved by the Bell wasn't called Saved by the Bell.
I did not know that.
They rebranded the show for the next season.
Oh, I didn't know that.
No, it was called what was it called? It was like
Miss Bliss. It was like Miss Bliss or Saved by
Was it
Miss
really?
Bliss.
Yeah, but that's
I thought it was
before
like Saved by
What's-His-Face
the,
was like the main character, right?
The principal was still on the show. Zach was the main character. She was the main character, the teacher. And Zach was on it, Lisa, and Screech. And the principal, Mr. Bellman.
Screech, my man.
And it took place in like Indiana.
Better known for his porn career.
Oh, horror.
Wait, who had a porn career?
And boxing,
Screech.
celebrity boxing
Oh, yeah,
career.
celebrity boxing.
fuck?
Yeah.
Anyways, all right, so the debate section. Here's the debate jingle.
Hit it.
Oh, damn it, I unplugged it from here. Here we go.
Oh no.
I can do it post, but I always like to just have it.
Anything else you guys want to debate then?
That or I think that's a good debate. We can debate is
Kareem
McNabb.
Hunt getting baptized.
Come on, bro. Hey,
That changes everything.
That has to go quick.
no, I don't. You know what? Honestly, I don't think it's a quick hitter worthy because Kareem Hunt did one thing, and yet it wasn't. It was.
He done more than one thing, Jared. This is like his fourth time. But this is third thing with the same woman.
Hey, man.
No, you think of Tyreek Hill.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm thinking Tyreek Hill, baby.
Hold on, that's a magic moment, Aaron.
That's
That's a magic moment. You gonna
The darkest demons we're on the same team.
Nah, niggas from Kansas City, they all the same. They all the same. You ain't no better.
They all wear matchstick helmets and beat women.
Aaron, hey, this is how, hey, remember in Coming to America, and he got to Queens and he opened up the window. He's like, yes, I am here.
Yep.
And they're like, fuck you. He's like, yes, fuck you too. When Aaron first moved to this neighborhood, and I think he still does it every day, he leans out his bay windows and screams, oh man, now it's not even, this is the worst.
You can go back and edit
This
that.
is some
It's all
shit.
good, it's all good.
Hold on.
Go back and edit it.
Hold on, it's coming. I'm gonna get it. I gotta work this out because because if we gotta help Peadro, we need to make sure we have Peadro.
I imagine that Jared has the same conversation about erectile dysfunction. Hold up. It's coming. It's coming. Oh, this was going to be a good one.
It was gonna be a good one. Brandon, touche, too true. Just kidding. Here we go. That's what he says every morning. Brandon, Tim, Dave, every morning, Aaron leans out his bay windows and screams out,
I could have said, I could have did that this morning when I go outside and the police chase somebody who somehow opened the window to the burger stand, that little small window you could barely get your food out of, and squeezed in there.
Oh, wow.
And so they out there with their straps out. Home dude didn't have any weapons because they weren't pointed at him, but he wouldn't come out.
Yeah.
And they kept trying to open the side door, and none of their asses with their flak jackets on could get through the damn window.
Yeah.
So they all just standing there, and there's more cars kept coming up, more cars, and then all of a sudden that dude somehow tripped the alarm. And I'm like, I gotta hear this shit the rest of the morning.
That's the worst.
Well, that's the thing, man. When you first moved in here, you could yell that out, but now you might, ooh, who lives in this neighborhood now?
Yeah, it's not the same.
It's like Paperboy.
All right, let's get to the debate section real quick.
We're going to debate?
Yeah, Dave, you're the fly on the wall judge. There you go. All right, here we go.
There's
Debate jingle.
Wait.
The debate jingle.
What was I debating about?
Don't worry, you'll find out. You sit back. You sit back and relax, Dave. We'll run the show.
Thanks.
Remember, you are Dennis Quaid in Any Given Sunday, and we's Willie Beeman. Okay. All right, here we go. Debate jingle.
All right.
In the sports social justice system, subjects are debated by two separate yet equally important groups. The sack riders, who'll invest in any rhyme or reason to justify their fandom.
I don't give a fuck.
And the player haters, who persecute their own grandmother or even their unborn child if they offended them.
They deserve to die, and I hope they burn in hell.
These are their debates.
All right, we're in the debate jingle.
What is the sports social justice system?
I don't know.
I never listened close enough until today.
Perfect.
I think Colin Kaepernick is the president.
Yeah. No, Colin Kaepernick is the blind lady holding up the scales of justice, and it's tilted one way.
Way far down.
The Black Power fist is way. It's way high up. White privilege is way far down. Brandon, can you give us our debate topic, please?
Oh man, today we're gonna talk about Donovan Mcnabb. Went on the Rich Eisen show.
Yeah.
And made a few proclamations, like Rich Eisen that straight up asked him, was like, hey, do you think you deserve to be in the Hall of Fame? And Donovan Mcnabb said yes. And he went on to say that he has better numbers than Troy Aikman. So I had to pull this up.
All right, so let's choose sides real quick. So we gotta. So the four of us are gonna split up and choose sides. Dave, you are gonna be the judge. So you're gonna listen to arguments and then give us your analysis and summation, and ultimately your verdict at the very end. Okay? Because I feel like all of us are definitely gonna choose that he's not better than Aikman.
So what point do I get?
No, he's better than Aikman for sure.
Oh, you think he's better than Aikman?
Are you fucking kidding me?
Okay.
sure.
Okay.
Man, you didn't see the little man.
Okay. All right. So
Troy Aikman?
you are better than Aikman.
Man,
Oh, I'm gonna say
You're choosing Aikman.
No.
not better than Aikman.
No.
I'm gonna go with. Well, what were you gonna go?
You go ahead, man.
Because I was gonna go with better than Aikman.
Okay.
Even though I'm not a McNabb fan.
All right.
I'm the
All right. You go.
Oh,
All
me and
right.
Jarrett?
Yeah, me and Tim. All right. Tim. All right.
I'm the
Dave,
farthest from
I know
Shit,
Tim's
I
your brother.
lost
No
already.
biases though. No biases for Tim, just because he's your brother. Okay.
That's a magic moment because you put an
What
S
am
on
I-
biases. You put an ES
What's my
after
point?
it. You
Listen,
said
it could be
no
multi-
Dave, no biases.
You're
Yeah, it's
you're
multiple
deciding
biases.
who
Man,
wins the
it's
debate.
multiple bias, not multiple biases. You
No,
put
no,
an
no,
ES on it. That's a magic moment for you,
No,
man.
no.
No
magic.
bi-eye.
No. Magic moments aren't about. Here's the deal. If y'all don't know what a magic
Making up
moment is,
words,
a
like
magic
Magic
moment.
Johnson.
A magic moment. Aaron wants magic moment equality, but the whole point is that this system was not meant for magic moment equality. It was made because of Aaron. The whole system was made because of Aaron. So when you hear this soundbite. That is typically reserved for when Aaron makes a speech faux pas. He says something that is inaccurate, as in the pronunciation of it, or he butchers somebody's name completely as trying to say it, or he sometimes speaks like Magic Johnson, where he will sometimes say things in a singular or plural, or in a singular form when it's supposed to be plural.
But the third person
No,
present
what
of
was
the
your
word
faux
bias
pas, bro?
is biases.
So it is biases. So Jared was right.
Yes. So.
So that's a magic moment on Aaron.
Oh, sorry, Aaron.
Magic moment.
You know, should we go over high school?
We're debating. Brandon, what are we debating?
we're debating whether or not Donovan Mcnabb is better than Troy Aikman.
Okay, Donovan Mcnabb. Myself and Tim are taking the. Oh, you're the judge. You cannot be biased. Tim and I are taking on the Troy Aikman defense, and Aaron and Brandon are taking on the pro McNabb argument. So let's go ahead and start. Since it's an assertion by McNabb that he's better than Troy Aikman. Let's start with the Pro McNabb people. So who wants to go first for you guys?
Wait, we shouldn't go first.
Let's start.
You guys go first. You guys who brought this to the court.
Let's start off with just stats, just straight stats.
The defense always goes second. You are the plaintiff.
Troy Aikman, record
That's not
94 and 71.
That's not
Yes.
even comparison.
Donovan Mcnabb, 98 and 62.
That's a ridiculous
Dave.
comparison.
We're talking.
Troy Aikman, 32,942 yards, 165 touchdowns, 141 interceptions. Donovan McNabb, 37,000 yards, 37,276 yards, 234 touchdowns, 117 interceptions. So he has less interceptions, more touchdowns, and 4 more wins.
You disregard his.
Dave.
Now we all know Troy Aikman won 3 Super Bowls, right?
We all know.
But we all know that it was a different
great team.
it was a different league back then. You could just buy whatever player you wanted to buy.
Wait.
And guess what? Jerry Jones was ready to pay that money. He did. Donovan McNabb worked under a whole different system, number one, but he still got to the NFC Championship game. I forget, what, 5 years? 6 years? Something like that. Something crazy.
They went 5 years in a row.
Yeah, something like that. Something crazy. But I'm just saying, like, you don't do that without being a great quarterback.
You know I'm a stats man.
Yeah, stats,
Right.
man.
So,
Like Billy Gunn, I'm a
can I-
stats man.
So my big one, okay, stats wise, is Donovan McNabb started his career in 1999.
Yeah.
Right? Up to 2004, he won. I think he went to what, 5 Pro Bowl selections in the first 6 years.
He did.
5 or 6 years, something like that.
Yeah.
That's great. Great start to the career. You know, numbers that I look at are things like completion percentage. In that time, Donovan McNabb had a completion percentage of 49% his rookie year, 58% his sophomore year, 57.8, 58.4, 57.5, and 64. Pretty mediocre, right?
Except for that
Troy
64
Aikman,
is
who
good.
was involved in a league, rookie year 1989. His best years went until what, late 90s, 97, 98 maybe.
Yeah.
Highest
2000.
completion percentage that he had was 69%. And lowest completion percentage that he had at that time were in his first 2 years, 52 and 56. But everything else was a 65 essentially.
65 or higher.
So in a league in which they passed a lot more, yes, completion percentage is a little bit skewed, but Donovan McNabb was never like a huge passer anyway. Dave,
Yeah.
you gotta like not talk over me. That's the point. So his completion percentages in those 6 to 7 year comparisons best him almost every single year. Donovan McNabb was a playmaker, yes, but did he win a Super Bowl?
No.
Did he win an MVP? Was he ever an All-Pro?
No, he didn't.
I don't think he really was.
No, he didn't.
My argument is with Brandon that Donovan McNabb is better. We're doing better than Troy Aikman because I don't think Troy Aikman should have been a Hall of Famer. So I'm gonna tell you this: Donovan McNabb, Troy Aikman played for 12 seasons. 12 seasons. Out of those 12 seasons, he's only thrown over 3,000 yards 3 times. 3 times. He was on a dominant team, which is often and Troy Aikman was a very accurate passer. One of the most. I would say this: he's the most accurate passer I've ever seen. But he didn't take a lot of chances. Yeah, he was on the money. When someone broke out the route, the ball was already there.
Yeah,
he had a great team. He's only thrown over 20 touchdowns 1 time. 1 time in his career, 23. After that, the next one was 19, 17, 15. That tell you how dominant his team was.
Yeah, you're right.
That's how dominant his team was.
Okay.
So if I compare him to light quarterbacks during that era, we can even go Randall Cunningham, who didn't have the greatest completion percentage till he was like out of, he had a 69. No, that was the year he got hurt. But if we compare to Randall Cunningham, who had 6 seasons over 20, right? 20 touchdowns, a lot of seasons over 3,000 yards, and then I went Mark Brunell, right? I was like, let me compare to Mark Brunell.
Those
That's
guys
more
all
like
played for a good amount of years after Aikman. They were
Aikman
considerably
played
younger. They were in a
12.
different, slightly. I'm sorry.
Randall
I'm not
Cunningham
going to interrupt.
Randall Cunningham's the same. They're basically almost the same age. In fact, Randall's older, if anything, right? Now, the thing about Mark Brunell, so Troy Aikman rookie year was 89. Mark Brunell came 5 years later, right? If you look at his peak years, it's still way more yards and way more touchdowns. I have nothing against. Like I said, I'll tell you this. I like Troy Aikman when he was at UCLA. This has nothing to do. I don't like Donovan McNabb. I don't think he was good either. I think he was better than Aikman though. And this is the thing. Aikman was on one of the most dominant teams. The year that Aikman wasn't on those dominant teams, the first 2 years in the league, even when the Cowboys got good, he was still when the Cowboys started winning, he still wasn't. Other than the 1 year, he didn't really ball out. He was just a really great, accurate passer who was a general, a QB general.
All right, so I'm gonna take all your guys' arguments and only agree with mainly Tim's and half of Aaron's because half the time he was talking about how good Aikman was. So I don't have much to argue. But what I will tell you is this, Brandon, you brought up McNabb's numbers. There's certain numbers that are also very important to see. What was his record in those NFC Championship games? Secondarily, what is the numbers on how many Super Bowls he made it to? Secondarily, Super Bowls won. Secondarily, I'm gonna keep second. I don't know how many secondaries I can get, but I'm not sure. I was like, that's. I thought
more than one secondarily.
I thought to myself, I was like, that's my third secondarily. Can I do a fourth? All right. And then bringing up what Aaron said, there's something important about, and what Tim said, there's something important about completion percentage, accuracy, and efficiency on the field. I can say this, that two players can be comparable in many ways, but also not comparable in others. If you were to put Donovan McNabb on those 3 Super Bowl teams, would you say they win those Super Bowls outright?
No, they still suck.
Okay.
I mean,
that's part of my argument. If you put Troy Aikman on those Philly teams, is he as successful as McNabb, or would he been maybe a little bit more successful?
He gets sacked more than Derek Carr. He would be less successful than McNabb.
Okay.
They both would be less successful at that job.
Okay, I'll say this though. I think he would have been better suited to play in an Andy Reid offense where he's making quick checks downs like he did to Emmitt Smith with Brian Westbrook and all those other scat backs. He would be able to use his receivers way more effectively than he used his. So my argument is that Aikman doesn't have the same numbers because he was playing in a slightly different generation and era of football. And so in doing that, Randall Cunningham had his most productive seasons at the end of his prime when he was playing in a more open offense. He had good seasons before that, but he had an open offense which really boosted up his numbers when he had the crazy season with Randy Moss in '98. So all I'm going to say is this. Troy Aikman played in the league. He been to the ship. He's won the chip. Okay? Donovan McNabb is like the dude who played Pony League baseball. He's like, bro, I could have for sure been, up in that league balling out. I played against that dude in Little League, and he wasn't better than me then. But I could, man, telling you what I used to wreck him in Pony League, I would have definitely. He's Uncle Rico to many degrees. Does he deserve to be in the Hall of Fame? I think so. Is he better than Troy Aikman? No. I will tell you this also. No other person came out and said, "Oh man, he was vomited in the huddle at the end of the game when we trying to win this title." Final statements. Everyone gets a final statement. Like, just keep it short though, relatively short.
We see then in the future we should do a counter argument because you got the counter basically everything we say.
Yeah, I know. That's why I like to do this. Yeah. Wait a minute.
You get to rebuttal everything we say. We can't rebuttal Jerry.
Hey, there's only one DJ in the room right now. I'm just gonna say that. You know what I'm saying? Y'all make your request and I'll see what I can do. I don't got that on file. All right, go ahead. All right, let's do one last rebuttal. So we'll go reverse order this time.
Man, y'all fools writing down a lot of shit.
I know they're trying to write down all this shit over here, and they're not really trying to debate.
We trying to debate, man.
We got counter Roberto. I'm writing it down. We
got freestyling.
Tim.
Aaron, I'm with you. I don't think Troy Aikman deserved to be in the Hall of Fame either. He was, but that's not the whole argument.
No, it's
right?
not.
The argument is not who deserved to be in the Hall of Fame over the other person. It was whether Donovan McNabb deserved to be in the Hall of Fame, given the fact that Troy Aikman already was. So here's my rebuttal to you and my closing statements. Different eras. You and I have talked about this back and forth about how the eras in football matter the most, right? Mm-hmm. Aikman was on the end of the not really like we're super passing era. He was kind of in the beginning to the end, right? 1989. 89 was not a hugely passing era. Also, he had Emmitt Smith, so he didn't really need to pass. So we can't really judge Aikman for his inability to pass efficiently or consistently because he didn't have to. Right? He might have had Michael Irvin as a wide receiver, but he also had one of the greatest running backs of all time and a great offensive line.
But he also,
why would they not just run the ball?
He also
right?
hit Alvin Harper on those post routes in stride.
Hey,
Three
Jared,
post routes
that
he
sounds like a closing statement that you made now.
Yeah.
No, but
not to mention.
So I think it's hard to compare the two, and that's why I go back to like who was more efficient, which one was more efficient, because to me this isn't really a Hall of Fame argument. The argument is which player is better, because I don't think really either one of them deserve to be in the Hall of Fame. Troy Aikman, I think most of us will agree, made it into the Hall of Fame because he won. He won 3 Super Bowls.
Winner. I'll agree with that.
And so, if that's the comparison we're making, then there's no comparison. Like if we're gonna just compare stats, then you have to look at all the factors behind that, right? Donovan McNabb was his offense, and he was not a very efficient quarterback at running it. He still had one of the greatest wide receivers of his generation in Terrell Owens
For 1 year.
Yeah, but
That was
still,
the year he got to the Super Bowl.
it was like what he still threw 61%.
That was the year he got to the Super Bowl. That's the year he threw up and couldn't get T.O. the ball on a broken leg, even though T.O. was still beast of football.
So to me, the argument is more just Troy Aikman won, and like the NFL and the Hall of Fame will always reward guys who win.
Yeah, and shout out to Neil O'Donnell sponsorship.
Troy Aikman was an accurate passer. He was very accurate. And he was on a winning team. But I want to tell you something about 1989. The late 80s was an offensive explosion for the NFL. In fact, it was like crazy. Jim Everett in 1989, the same season that Troy Aikman didn't do nothing, and like I said, around the time he played, threw for 4,300 yards and 29 touchdowns. This is shitty-ass Jim Everett. The next year, he threw 3,989.
But
Don Majkowski in 1989 threw for 4,318, 27. They didn't even. That's the reason they didn't draft Brett Favre, but they ended up trading for him the next year. Just he was a throw-in a trade, and then John Majkowski got hurt. Joe Montana in 89 threw for 70% of his completion percentage, and 3,500 yards, 26 touchdowns, only 8 interceptions. So the fact that Troy Aikman couldn't put up stats during a time when it was stats. That everybody was putting up stats. That was like one of my favorite. That's the year Tecmo Bowl 2 was made off of because it had full of stats. It was an offensive explosion for the NFL, and Troy Aikman was not part of it.
Troy Aikman, he had to steer that crazy ass Dallas team. Aaron, you know how crazy that shit was. You know how crazy that shit was, Aaron.
Jimmy Johnson left.
Aaron.
They weren't crazy at first.
Aaron, you know how crazy that shit was, and he got him to another title. Then fine, we'll say he held that team together. And yes, that like when Michael Irvin got sadly injured, Emmett started to decline. Troy Aikman, they didn't replenish with the same talent, but at the same time, Troy Aikman probably wasn't a dude who was going to carry a team and keep them like at that same level of relevance in that way. But at the same time, he was a dude who knew how to helm a ship and not blow it in the end. And what did Donovan Mcnabb do? He was the dude who was good to get you through the first couple battles, and then when you got to King's Landing, you screwed the pooch. Okay, so McNabb, good player. I think he's a Hall of Famer, but he was not better than Troy Aikman because he was not a winner.
Thank you.
That's
Thank
it.
you.
3 things to say. Number one, you talking about Troy Aikman not having a lot of yards. He played with Brett Favre, all-time leading passer. Dan Marino throwing the shit out of the ball. Jim Kelly throwing the shit out of the ball. People threw the ball back then. It's not like people weren't getting sacks.
Yeah.
Number 2, I got a list of their top 10 receivers for Troy Aikman and Donovan McNabb.
Yeah.
You got Terrell Owens, 1 year.
Uh-huh.
Right? You got Brian Westbrook, Jeremy Maclin, Brett Selleck, Jason Avant,
Yep.
Chad Lewis,
Yep.
Reggie Brown, Tom Pinkerton, Kevin Curtis,
James
and
Thrash.
Deshaun Jackson.
You said James Thrash already, right?
Yeah. And now,
What about the dude who married? What about the dude who married the?
They got Freddie Mitchell.
What
Freddie
about?
Mitchell.
I already mentioned him. Y'all can't try him.
Fred X.
I said Freddie Mitchell. You got him a good second contract. No.
And then we got.
You didn't let me have my thing, so I'm going last again.
Then for Troy Aikman, he
Go
got
ahead.
Michael Irvin, Jay Novacek, Alvin Harper, Daryl Johnson, Emmitt Smith,
Yeah.
Deion Sanders even played wide receiver apparently.
Yeah.
Rocket Ishmael, Joey Galloway.
He did play with Aikman.
Kelvin
those
Martin.
seasons.
All those people are better than anybody that Donovan McNabb threw the ball to, except for Brian Westbrook and Troy Hall.
Okay, so
All those people.
So
he's throwing the better people. He's better
Except
coaches.
for a
got better
running back that can catch and a wide receiver who was there
all right.
1 year.
Well, I'll tell
And
you
the
this.
third thing I said,
Okay, go
right?
ahead.
The owner of I just read this. The owner of NFL Reference or whatever, Sports Reference.
Mm-hmm.
They have a weighted stats, right? So there's a metric that you put on everyone's stats, and they have a weighted value. Donovan McNabb is 81 spots ahead of Troy Aikman for his weighted value based on his stats.
Yeah.
that's for Sports Reference.
Okay.
That's it.
The offensive line. It's funny how they did a special NFL, like the thing they do on all the players. They did one on the Dallas Cowboys. Michael Irvin got one. Emmitt Smith got one, and then the Dallas offensive line got one before Troy Aikman, because they understand the Great Wall of Dallas was more important than Troy Aikman.
Dave, fly on the wall. Dave, from on high, I need you to give your judgment and based upon what you heard, what you think, and who wins.
Now, please reassess. Give me the whole assessment so that I can.
Okay.
We're starting over. Jerry, you go first. I got what I wanted.
All
Jerry,
right,
you go first.
Dave, let's just cut the chase. Dave, who wins? Is Troy Aikman better or Donovan McNabb? Just give us the assessment.
Aikman.
Thank you. All right, that is the game. We win. Fly on the wall has spoken.
This is not a dating show?
Welcome back. We are joined by Peadro. Peadro, our friendly truck driver, and it was on one of our last episodes a couple weeks ago. Go ahead and check it out. I think the episode was called OJ Cinco de Mayo. Anyways, Pedro's a friend of the show, and we have him calling in because he told us that he really wanted to talk about Magic Johnson. So, Brandon, you want to introduce the subject real quick for us?
Oh man, Magic Johnson decided on the day they announced Frank Vogel as the head coach of the Los Angeles Lakers that would be a good day to show up on First Take and talk to Stephen A. Smith and give full interview about his time as being the president of basketball for the Los Angeles Lakers. That's been interesting. He had some interesting things to say. Let's say we'll keep it at that right now.
Peadro, what is it that Magic actually said that had you up in arms? Or just laughing or happy?
Well, basically just laughing because he talked about how he was backstabbed by Rob Pelinka and actually ended up talking about everybody. Jeannie Buss, the Buss brothers, talked about Luke Walton.
Kirsch Rambett's
He
wife.
said he was backstabbed by Rob Pelinka and he was stabbing everybody in the back.
He had more knife skills than OJ.
Man, he had more knife skills than whoever killed Caesar.
He had more knife skills than Arya Stark.
So in this thing, Magic Johnson's loud and he doesn't like finishing his sentences. So he contradicted himself also.
How do you do that?
Well, what he did was talk about, he said he had Jeannie Buss had too many people she was listening to or taking advice from too many people. So when he got on the show, I think Stephen A. Smith or Max, I can't remember who asked him, was like, well, you got people coming in, and he was like, oh yeah, but it's cool. Like Kurt Rambis, Linda Rambis, Phil Jackson, and Kobe Bryant had some say-so on it. He think they should. But you just said there was too many people talking to her, so you couldn't make decisions. So he just contradicted himself, looked like a fool on TV, just being loud.
You think he's going to end up buying the Lakers? And do you want him to buy the Lakers as a Lakers fan?
As a Lakers fan, I believe they need to sell the team. I don't know if Magic would be the right owner. I don't know. Obviously, he doesn't know. No, I don't want Magic buying because he doesn't know any good basketball people as we can see.
Yeah, especially if you're getting,
He's doing other stuff.
especially if you're getting played by.
This is on the side. Somebody else need to buy that team.
Pedro, I agree, because if Magic is allowing himself to be played by the
Right. Honestly, I didn't know Magic was that sensitive. And when he became sensitive, he grew up with people. They were fighting on the court.
What?
They worried about somebody talking about you behind their back. Come on, man.
I knew he wasn't made for it when he was getting played by the Dutch Rob Lowe. I was like, come on, bro.
He looking like super creepy Rob Lowe.
He looking like
Rob Lowe after he got caught in that video with that 16-year-old.
he looking like he in the red light district, Rob Lowe.
Did you guys know about that? See, that was probably before your time.
Oh, Rob Lowe.
That was when he lost all his stature.
He was young and up and
sex
coming.
Video. He was the first celebrity sex tape where he got caught and got arrested because the girl was like 16 or 17 years old.
Super creepy, Rob.
Super creepy. That's like I said.
And so this guy's a super creepy Rob Lowe. That's even worse.
Yeah, I remember Rob Lowe. I think he had his stuff happen before before Robert Downey Jr. had his shit.
Yeah.
But I remember the two of them were like dudes who were like the little golden boys of acting.
They're the Brat Pack.
Yeah, and they both like got like they had their issues and they fell off for a while and they made strong comebacks, you know. So
did Rob Lowe make a strong comeback?
He's in West Wing. That was his.
West Wing.
He's
and
Parks
Austin
and Rec.
Powers. In Austin Powers.
He's in Austin Powers.
Yeah, I think people remember him from Parks and Rec.
Tim, let's not forget Tommy Boy.
Awful lot of partying and cocaine between the two.
All right, so Pedro, we actually want to do something experimental. So does anybody else have any other takes about the Magic situation?
Hold on, we want to do something experimental?
Yeah, hold on. We don't know about the experimental thing, but before that,
So
my last take about Magic Johnson.
Oh yeah, let's talk more.
I wouldn't
finish off
mind
Magic.
if Magic buys a team with like a whole bunch of billionaires like he did the Dodgers, where Magic owned 2% and the billionaires owned the other 98%. And they tell Magic ahead of time, look here, you here to when we sign somebody, you here to clap. You gonna wear that Dodger jersey that says 32 and Johnson on the back. You gonna throw out at least 10 first pitches a year. You gonna clap at whoever comes back from injury. Whenever we sign a player, you there too.
That's a good point.
Wearing that Magic jersey. You don't do anything else. You sit next to Tommy Lasorda when Psy comes and starts dancing like a Korean, all up and down the stands, and Tommy Lasorda's looking at him like he wanted to call him a Korean N-word.
Korean coon.
A Korean coon.
KC.
You sit right next to him so that way Tommy Lasorda don't look like an old racist bastard.
Which he is.
Come on, Aaron. This is basketball. Dude, Magic can't not talk basketball.
The basketball, he wasn't getting involved. Like he told the Bus brothers, how you gonna tell the family trust, basically, let me show you how to run something. That's what he told them. No, you don't do that, Magic. That's not your team.
Hey.
You're president. You're not a owner.
Magic was great at building a movie theater at the Crenshaw Ballroom Plaza, and then not updating the seats when you go take your mama on Christmas Day to go see the Prince of Egypt, and you're like, God dang it, these seats felt like I'm sitting at the Cow Palace watching Jimi Hendrix.
You know, the only thing Magic was good at was at getting the 3-point line put to an NBA 3-point line at the 24-hour fitness at Hilltop Mall and fucking up my game. That's what he was good at doing. Because that motherfucker, I was not hitting no threes. I was like, I'm small. I can't just be taking to the rim every time. The motherfucker, these long, mediocre motherfuckers is jumping threes. NBA threes. All the Magic 24-hour fitnesses had 3-point line, NBA 3-point line.
You should have went Hooper Ray out up there. Remember, he was going at like 4 in the morning and 3 in the morning to the Hilltop Mall.
We know it's called 24-hour fitness, but doesn't mean that you need to try and use that any time in the 24 hours of the day.
Duck would do the same thing, go at those awful times, and he'll be in LA. Duck would say, "Man, every time I go to Hilltop Mall or go to the 24-hour fitness with the basketball courts at 2:30 or 3 in the morning, it's full of all the Asian people." Right? I say, exactly. That's when they can hoop. And we all know they don't sleep either.
That's their 5. You are here during 5, 10, and under league hours. It's like, hey, bro, I almost did that. Davis, they had intramural. They had like the A league, which is like the best players, and then they had the B league, and they had like the dorm leagues or like
And then they had the
just
co-ed.
the co-ed leagues, and then they had the 5, 10, and under league for the Asian representation.
That's fucked up. They didn't have that.
Which
account.
league were you in?
I ended up I always play A league.
Oh, you did.
I played A League too.
Yeah, I was good at
Because-
recruiting good
That's
players that
because
were
you
big and
had
tall.
fools that knew how to dunk on your team.
No,
You
we-
know,
Hold
yeah.
on, who y'all was in A-League?
Me, Jared, OG, triple O, triple DJ
played
Art.
So Aaron said he was in the A-League. I don't remember that. Last time I remember Aaron playing basketball, he said his hip, his back, and his knee was hurt.
Shit, you sure that was me playing basketball or me getting out of bed a couple weeks ago?
Well, anyway, Aaron's got that CBD. Shout out to Pack sponsorship. He got that CBD pen right now, so he's doing all right. He's doing all
Hey,
right.
thanks to that CBD, I think my disc has worked itself back into place. I'll be walking on my tippy toes soon.
Hey, I'd like to I'd like to give a shout out to Leathermere for making my A1C numbers lower.
Hey, you trying to get that pharmaceutical sponsorship, Lemonade sponsorship, pharmaceutical
I would like to
sponsorship.
give a shout out for Peadro to Truve, the anti-AIDS medication that he's been taking before he goes on the road every day. Because who knows what he does at those truck stops? Is it Truve? It was Truve, right?
I think so, yeah.
My doctor told me to take Truve so I won't get AIDS. He might as well, like Tim said earlier, he might have said, my doctor told me to take Truve because I'm gay. It's kind of fucked up. Like you got a transvestite, you got two dudes that were gay and a little more like feminine,
Oh, my
like they were
God.
dancers, and then you had two dudes that looked like hipsters that were gay going to the movies together, and then you had another transvestite that you can tell, and it was like, dude, this is a fucked up commercial. Like
the commercial is totally depressing.
if they wanted that commercial to be more PC, they should have had Magic and Charlie Sheen in it. And one of them like, I take Truve, I take something better than Truve because I got more money. And then Charlie Sheen says, I make everyone I sleep with take Truve so they don't sue me.
Truvada. That's
Truvada,
the name.
sorry.
Truvada.
This magic moment.
No, that's okay. I don't think anyone knew that.
No, we didn't know. So I would say Truve sounded good enough. Kind of
did.
like, hey, what is it when you black and you end up turning white because your pigmentation disease? What's that called?
Man, that's called Valaligro.
It sound like the black character on Game of Thrones.
Pedro,
About Negro. He's a valiant Negro.
that's what Pedro used to date this girl that had Valaligro. And so he told me he liked her because she was white all over. That's what he told me. I'm just going off what Pedro told me. I ain't being dirty or nothing.